Today is Thursday the 4th of December 2014. The temperature is 21 degrees Celsius inside the workshop, so it's nice and warm and cosy. A lot different to how it is out there, I can assure you. The time is coming up for 8 o'clock in the evening. Now, again, I'm going to just fall back on my friend, the artist taxi driver, just for a minute. Okay? Just for a minute. Because I'm going to use what he says as the basis for this video of mine tonight. But what I'd like you to bear in mind is this. Now, I haven't got the full facts and the details here to hand, but I can find them, and if I get the time I will do so, and I'll give you the bare facts of the matter. I'll give you names and dates. But before I show you this first bit, I want you to bear this in mind. Many years ago I read of a Jesuit priest working in one of the countries of South America. Could have been El Salvador, Nicaragua, could have been any one of a dozen, right? Which had, as many of them did in those days, a fascist dictatorship. And he worked amongst the peasants of that country. And he remarked that when I give food to the poor, they, meaning the government or the establishment, call me a saint. But when I ask why the poor have no food, they call me a communist. They see me as a threat to their establishment, and they will shut me up. Okay, right. So bearing that in mind, have a listen to this.
Right, I went to the supermarket, and outside the supermarket was a massive gang of people, all with red tops on, all collecting for a food bank. And they had red boxes and they had shopping lists. And I stopped and I said to the girl, I said, why are you collecting food? And she said, because people can't afford to buy any. And I said, why? Why? And she said, why what? I said, why are people too poor? We're in bloody Sydenham, in London. Why are people too poor to buy food? You know what she said? Because they are. Because they are. Until we start asking why, not acknowledging, just because, not just saying because that's how things are. Till we start asking why. Until we start, when we're looking at stats and figures, George Osborne stood up in the Houses of Parliament, in the House of Commons, from representing the government, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, uttering these performative utterances and saying that we are the fastest growing economy in the world.
Now, bear in mind the response that Mark got to his question, why? Imagine, for example, you were an audience member of a quiz, and you were listening to the answers provided by the contestants, okay? And the quizmaster said to one contestant, why does it get dark at night? And the contestant said, because it does. Okay. Next question then. What causes, why does the tide the sea, come in on tides in and out? And the contestant replies, because it does. Okay, well, why is a fire hot? Contestant, because it is. Okay, last question, for goodness sake, the last question. I say, why are there 12 months in a year? Contestant, because there are. What sort of lunatic asylum do you think you'd have entered? But that is the response that Mark got to his question. Why have people got no food? Why can't they afford to buy food? It's not a natural state. It isn't an accident of nature. It's deliberate. And in this case, in this country today, it has been planned. It's been planned. You're being manipulated. The people of this country are being manipulated. But they're too dim and dumb to realise it. Either that, or they're too scared to admit it to themselves, because if they admitted it, it meant that they understood what was going on, and that unless they did something to change it, things are going to get desperately worse. So if they sat back and did nothing, they'd be bloody cowards for letting it happen, not just to them, but to their children and to their grandchildren and to their elderly and to the sick and the infirm and the disabled and the unemployed. They'd be guilty of letting it happen to them. And finally, of course, to themselves, the idiots that they are. And that applies to a lot of you out there. A lot of you. Because you're not doing anything. Don't look for salvation from anybody else. Certainly don't look to any of the constituency political parties that are in existence at the moment. And I mean by that the main political parties, such as the Conservatives or the Liberal Democrats or Labour, and certainly not UKIP. There are fringe parties like the British National Party and the National Front and all the other right-wing extremist organisations. They haven't got an answer for it. Only socialism can provide you with salvation. And there are several left-wing parties out there, but then again, you're going to have to be careful in who you choose to support. You're going to have to be intelligent about it. Look at their programmes, look at their philosophy. Look at what they represent. And then when you've studied it, when you've become knowledgeable, then you can make an intelligent decision. But until that day, you're just floundering around in the dark, hoping that the cross that you put on a ballot paper is going to solve everything. And I can assure you, it certainly is not. Not in 2015. That's a fact. So do your research. Things aren't as they are because they are. Things are as they are because it's a program. It's social manipulation. The unemployment is deliberate. The attacks upon the less able and the disadvantaged are deliberate. The attacks upon ethnic minorities and immigrants is deliberate. Can't you see that? For goodness sake, waken up. Start to take some notice of what is going on around you and start to question. Ask why? Why? Why?